Good afternoon. You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Click Livestream or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, or WCEG Network. I am Celeste Giordano, your show host, along with my co-host Sara Poe. We're the Global Legacy and Wealth Building for the next hour. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at WCEG Talk Radio and at WCEG Network. And last but not least, our disclaimer, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not WCEG Network. And thank you for your continued support. Well, Happy New Year, ladies. How are you today?
Happy New Year.
Good. Yes, Happy New Year. We have, and yes, Brigitta, we are so glad to have you back. This is the second time you've been with us. Last year, I think it was in March when you were with us. And so we are so glad to have you with us here today. And Sara, it's so good to see your beautiful face. I saw it earlier today at your office and I got the memo and I said, I love that color on Sara. I think I'm going to match her tonight. So I came home and found something that was comparable.
Oh, good.
But that's a very good color on you. And Sara, we're just so glad to have you here. And glad to have each and one of you as we get started here today. We have a great show lined up today. And Sara, before we get started, I'd love for you just to tell our audience your name, your company name, and how people can get a hold of you, because we are in a new year and it is coming around in about another couple of weeks for tax time. So tell us a little bit about you and your company, please.
First things first, congratulations to the UGA Georgia football team. I have waited a long time for that. I enjoyed that game thoroughly last night, got really excited, screamed a lot. So I'm very happy for them. It's been a good year for Atlanta sports, first the Braves and then UGA. So I just wanted to put that out there. I am Sara Poe with Poe's Accounting Services. We have an office in Decula, which is just north of Atlanta. Like Celeste said, taxes are getting ready to start and you need to be prepared for that. So if you get any envelopes from the IRS that say tax forms in there, don't throw that away because they're sending them out this year, okay? So you're a tax professional or you will need that. My phone number is 770-545-8841. And my email is spoe@poecpas.com. And let's do taxes.
There you go. Thank you so much, Sara, for sharing that. And it's going to be a great year this year. I'm excited for 2022. I mean, we've been in this pandemic thing for a couple of years, but we're into a new year. It's a new month. It's a new you. It's a new me. It's a new Brigitta. And Brigitta has an amazing show for us tonight with all kinds of information about our mindset. And one of the topics that we were talking about earlier is, and we didn't use this in our topic, but it's a good one, is what mindset you have today to get you here isn't going to get you there. And that is so true, something along that line. But I do want to read Brigitta's bio. And I want to say a few things about Brigitta before I read her bio. Is I became friends with Brigitta probably, I think it was back in 2017 or 18, Brigitta. It's one of those years. It's been 3-4 years. And I met her at a networking event. And Brigitta and I, when we laid eyes on each other and met each other, we knew right then and there we were going to be lifelong friends. And we have served in the community. We have served internationally. We have served locally. We have broke bread and had fellowship with our families together and her beautiful husband and children. And my heart just adores Brigitta because Brigitta is a servant leader. She is all about serving people first and giving in the community, as well as helping people achieve the things that they want to achieve in life. And really, everything starts with your attitude right there and your mindset. And she's going to teach us some things today, but I would like to read her bio. And this is where precision meets charisma. As a powerfully engaging and professional international speaker, Brigitta is also known as the fastest tracked female trainer and retired lead coach of one of the largest self-development companies in the world. As leading mentor, business coach, and author, she is invited to speak on stages around the world. Her degrees in marketing, communication, social pedagogy, and educational science validate her expertise, logic, and knowledge, but it is her creativity, humanity, and passion what really makes her stand out and lead other credible, high-quality leaders. Brigitta was born and raised in Germany and resides in the United States since 2004 with her two wonderful, independent, and successful teenage daughters and her wonderful husband, the renowned cultural guy. She is the award-winning founder of the German Language School and the Montessori School of Cleveland. As the founder and shareholder of the Montessori School of Cleveland and as a CEO and owner and Grand Master of the NLP Center, a global institute located in Atlanta, Georgia, she gives full credit for her success to her unique communication and listening skills, her tenacity, and her never-ending desire to take something from good to outrageously great. To add even more fuel to the fire and more credibility to her work, Brigitta has created coaching programs for large corporations and conducts extensive training for corporate and leading the NLP Center with knowledge and heart as a CEO and master trainer. I hope you have some pen and paper here today and be prepared to learn, laugh, and love. Brigitta, welcome to our show here today. We are so honored.
So excited to be here, Celeste. Thank you for having me here. And I couldn't imagine starting out the year in a better way than to serve, than to be here amongst these incredible women, to be here with you, the listeners, and to really bring you some hands-on knowledge that you can implement immediately, because how you start out, how you set the tone for the year, how you set the tone for the week, that's really up to you. But if you don't know how to do it, and if you don't know, like Celeste said it earlier, the mindset that got you here won't get you there. I want to unpack that later on a little bit more. But if you really want to create something greater this year than last year, it starts out with how you're going to view it. Starts out with what's happening between your ears, aka your brain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, as the title of this show, Brigitta, the quality of your thoughts, frame of mind, and actions equal the quality of your results. And really, what is it that we want this year?
That's what it starts out with, right? Starting with the end in mind. I can't remember who said it first. Might have been Covey, might have been Jack Canfield. I really can't remember who said it first, but you got to start with the end in mind. With one of the big courses that I teach, we start out the whole course with a well-formed outcome, not just a goal, not just a dream, right? At the end of the year, you often get like vision board parties or dream board parties or something like that. Well, that's like a pie in the sky, but really getting down to the focus of what is it that I am creating in 2022? What is my well-formed outcome? What is the intentional outcome that I want for my business, for my personal life, for my community, for my family, for it, insert in the blank. What is it that you want?
Well, absolutely. And Sarah, I'd love for you to chime in on this. And coaching with people a lot of times, sometimes they can't see the forest for the trees, and let alone as we talk about goal setting and all the things that you talked about, serving in the community and this, people can't even see that far and to even plan that far because they don't know what they don't know.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah. Sarah.
Well, in my business, right, you have to see the whole picture. You got to be able to see the whole picture to plan for what's going to come up in your taxes and your business and all that. And I think we as individuals don't always do that enough to look at the big picture, to see where we need to improve or correct our mindset. And this year is all about me, taking care of me, because the last 2 years I've taken care of everybody else, not me. So this year I need to take better care of myself, because I can't help anybody if I can't take care of me.
True.
That's very true.
That's some truth.
Well, Brigitta, I am ready to jump right in with some questions, because I know that you're going to do a deep dive in every one of these questions. And again, I hope our audience and our listeners, I hope you have some pen and paper to take some notes, because I'm going to tell you what, the information that Brigitta is going to give us tonight is going to be life-changing. So the first question that I have for you, Brigitta, aren't my capabilities and skills enough to be successful?
That's a really good question, Celeste. And I think going through school, that we learn, or we are programmed almost to believe that our capabilities and skills are the most important thing to be successful, but they're not, because your skill set is useless if you don't have the mindset. It's absolutely useless. It was so fitting today. I have two stories that actually happened today. One call that I had right before this show today was with a client that I've had for many years, and she's a doctor. And she said, and I've been coaching her one-on-one, and she says, I've been coaching and teaching highly successful women, business women, how to take better care for themselves, like Sara just said, right? Taking care of yourself first, because you cannot give out of an empty cup. And she says, as a doctor, I have all this knowledge, and I have all of these very easy implementable skills that I can teach them. But if I am just kind of pouring the skills and the knowledge into them, and they're not ready to receive it because their mindset is not ready, I can teach them all day, every day, for weeks and months and years, and it's not going to go anywhere. No. And what I'm then left with is clients who are super frustrated because they're not getting out of what they want to get from working with me. And I said, well, you got to start out with a mindset, right? We got to start out the year, the month, the week with a clear mindset, not just any mindset, a clear mindset of what is it that I'm creating? For whom am I creating it? Is it a win-win-win creation? Who is winning as I am creating? Am I just winning myself? Are you and I winning, or is our community winning as a whole, right? So really looking deeper and peeling back the onions of why are you doing it? For what reason are you doing? With what intention are you doing it? And who else is benefiting from you doing what you intend to do? So no, your capabilities and skills are not enough to be successful. They're going to come into play. And they're going to play such a big role when your mindset, your frame of mind is in the right place.
Well, Brigitta, you just gave a story that reminded me of something. And what I've realized with a lot of clients that I coach, that a lot of them don't know how to control their mindset, or to make what I call a mind shift. And they don't. And they're like a roller coaster, or like this little app that I have that I just put on my phone about my sleep, and it's tracking my sleep and deep sleep and all this other stuff, and it's going. But people don't know how really to control that mindset and control it where they see it going to the, what I call squirreling to the right or squirreling to the left. They don't know how to corral it back in. Do you have people like that sometimes?
Oh, I think we're all like that. And if we're not aware that that's what's happening, we'll never get it in control or under control, right? And within the success laws, and by the way, I have a gift for everyone at the end, but within the success laws, we learn about that there are two types of people. There are the people that are at cause, they live at cause, or they're the people that live in effect. And let me give you the two distinctions. The people that live in effect are coming from a place of life is happening to me. Oh, woe is me. I am the victim of the stuff that's happening to me. That's in effect. And then there are the people that live at cause. And when you live at cause, you take 100% responsibility of everything that's happening in your life. So it takes an awareness first and foremost. Am I in effect or at cause? That's the first question and the first check-in to have with oneself. Because guys, at the end of the day, we always have a choice. Most people just don't realize that they have a choice, but we always have a choice, right? And then the second question is, as I am becoming aware of that, what am I going to do with that information? And how am I going to learn from what's happening? Because there's learning in everything. There's feedback in everything that we experience. There's never failure unless we choose to see it as failures. People will drown in a puddle of water because they stay face down and they go, oh, woe is me. I just tripped. I'm such a poor buddy. Someone feels sorry for me. And now life, the rest of my life is just going to be whatever. No, I mean, you can view it as that, but you can also get up, kind of dust off or wash off the mud. Look at what have I just learned? Excuse me. What have I just learned from this? And what can I do better next time? Maybe watch my step or anything else. We are all here to overcome challenges. It's just a matter of how do we, A, perceive it, and B, become aware of what's going on between our ears. How are we programmed to perceive what's happening? Because there's a whole lot of programs running in our head because we have been programmed over years. Depending on how old you are, that's how old your program is. And you decide you got to check in with your own program. Is it still running so it supports me? Or is it actually an outdated program that needs to be updated and, stuff needs to be weeded out?
Well, and that's, go ahead, Sarah.
I had one day I woke up and I was in a really bad mood and nothing was making me happy. And I just kept getting angrier and angrier. You know what I did? I put my pajamas back on, got back into bed and started over because it was all up here. I couldn't, all my emotions were tied to that. And I got up, I laid in there about 15, 20 minutes, deep breathe, calmed down, got up, got redressed. And it was all the difference in the world. But I had to readjust my mindset to get there. And I see that right now. I just think people are just so angry or got a lot of anxiety or whatever. But you're right. The control of that, learning how to control that, learning how to change it is huge. And I think people need that more than ever right now.
And that's so true. Go ahead, Brigitta.
When you know that you can actually that reset is an easy fix. One of the success law states, change one modality, change them all. Modalities are either something that you hear, see, or feel. So you were clear and you were checking in with yourself that I don't want to be like that all day. I want to have a reset. And you changed a modality, and all of the other modalities followed along with that. You didn't just sit down in your chair and went, I want to think more positive. Right? Most people view this, think positive, that someone sits in their chair and things really, really hard, like they're pressing something out. I got to think positive. No, it's change one modality, change them all. Sometimes it's just removing ourselves from the environment, going back to bed,
right?
Going out for a walk with a dog, go do 10 jumping jacks, whatever it is that you can do. The world's open to doing whatever you need to do. You just got to do it.
Absolutely. When I was in the direct selling field and I had a franchise, we had sales meetings every day. And my mentor back then, they said, we have $1 million opportunity right between our two ears, right up here in our head. You have $1 million opportunity, and you don't let anybody mess with that opportunity in your brain right there, what's between your two ears. And when we had sales meetings in the morning, I was always the first one there, either me or my husband, to welcome the people in, because we appreciate our people. We want to make sure that the first thing that they heard when they came in through those doors was something positive and good, complimentary. And if somebody was coming there with a bad attitude or wasn't fully engaged, I'd say, you know what? I think you need to go out this door and have an attitude check, and then either come in if you're ready to come in and go to work with a good, positive attitude, or just go home and take the day off, because you couldn't afford to let anybody mess with your team's attitude.
That's right. That's so key. Yeah.
And that leads into the next question. How do I get what I want?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's the $1 million question right there. How do I get what I want? I think that's the most important question that people ask me when they come and seek my advice. And that goes, I'm going to share a success formula with you guys, and write this down because it's really, really simple. I'm going to give you the formula, and then I'm going to decipher it. T-F-A equals R. So T-F-A equals R. Thoughts lead to feelings. Feelings lead to actions. Actions lead to results. So again, like I said at the very beginning of our show today, you got to start with the end in mind. What is it that you want? What's the result, right? And then that already gives you an idea. And if you don't know exactly what is it that I desire, what is it that I want, then go around and look around and grab some clues of what you think you might enjoy. Start there. Too many people think, oh, I want a yacht, or I want a airplane, or a fancy Bentley or whatever. And then I ask them, okay, so that's a great beginning point. For what purpose do you want that? And then they might say, well, I really don't want the thing. I really just want the money. And then I would ask them, okay, so you want the money that would buy you something like that, but you really don't want the thing. You want the money to do what? And then they would think deeper. Well, if I had that kind of money, I could actually take my family on a really nice vacation. Aha, now we're getting closer, right? So then I keep asking questions upon questions upon questions. And it often comes down to having a great life where you can enjoy your family, where you can enjoy the things that you have. It doesn't have to be a hangar with yachts and airplanes and helicopters and all of those things. It comes down to really having memorable experiences with family members, or for yourself, or for some people it's just being healthy. If I had all this money, I could actually go get the treatment that I need in order to be healthier. So it hardly ever comes down to someone actually having that money in the bank account. It usually comes down to the quality of life and the quality of the difference that people can make in their community, and starting with their own life and their own family, and then it ripples out into their community and into other networks and into other communities. But it's really that where most people get lost, that they don't even go on the journey of looking, what is it that they intentionally desire? And then continue to ask the question, for what reason, with what purpose, with what intention, and what are you going to do with it? And who else benefits? And what would be then the detriment of you not getting that? Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, well, I don't think there's a detriment. So then the question is, do you really truly desire what you want? So those are all clarifying questions. And what I see most people go through life is they go through life blind, without being clear, because they're they're either not asking themselves the right questions, because the person with the best quality question controls the conversation. And we have all of those conversations. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I know I have them internally, right? So asking ourselves really good questions and really pondering upon it and going, for what reason do I want that? And what am I going to do with it? And how is it going to impact the world? Lastly, right? So I want to tap into what Celeste said earlier. The mindset that got you here won't get you there. And that means that people are going to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And we all know what that means. That's the true definition of what? Insanity, right?
Insanity,
So,
yeah.
Right. So when we realize I don't want that, but am I going to get what I truly want? Well, first of all, what is it that I want? And then how do I get to that new result that I desire? And that starts with your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to your feelings lead to your actions lead to your results.
Absolutely. What you just said made me think of something, Brigitta, especially in the coaching industry, and you know that as well, is, we're talking about, people wanting different results, but they're not doing the things they need to do to get the different results, even though they know, and as a coach, you repeatedly are reminding them of these things. What has them stuck on, repeat?
Often it's the beliefs that get in the way, or the belief system that is an old programming. What I said earlier, there's an old program that's running, probably each and every one of us. It's stuck somewhere, and until we become aware of that belief, and it could be something little that we tell ourselves, but because we are telling it ourselves over and over on repeat, like you said, Celeste, it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and it drives us. It becomes our driver, and it will stay in the way, and it'll be in the way for eternity if we are not, or I am as a person, if I'm realizing finally, okay, I have an awareness that I have this belief of not being good enough, or I have this belief of not being a good money manager, or I have this belief of being unsuccessful, and that's just the fate that I'm living in. No, that's a belief, and it's an old programming, and it's probably something you heard or experienced when you were in your imprint phase, when you were a small child, but and it might have kept you safe at that point. Right? Or maybe you were an adolescent and your parents were trying to hold money together so they can send you to the school that they sent you to, or to save money so they can send you to a good college, or whatever the story may be. Those stories often come and originate in safety, but where they might no longer drive you into safety or out of safety because they're an old program. So the first and foremost important step is to become aware. What's that belief, right? What is it? Really paying attention to what you're telling yourself over and over and over again. And that takes practice, right? And that takes you yourself asking really good quality questions. But at the end of the day, you guys and I know that getting yourself to those answers is really, really hard. Most of the time you need someone like Celeste, someone like Sara, to ask you those questions, to help you uncover what's really driving you and what's holding you back. And they're not big things. Most of the time,
No, they're not.
They're really small things.
You're so right. You are so right. You're right on the money with that. The other thing, Brigitta, that I wanted to ask you about was where it says, how do I get what I want? How do people, or I should say people in general, they do goal setting and they do these things, but they're not accountable and they fall like we talk about New Year's resolutions, and all of a sudden 2 weeks in, they've already fallen off the horse. So can you relate a little bit about goal setting and with how do I get what I want with that and resolutions? And some people don't believe in resolutions, but what is your take on that?
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack that, because that was a lot all in itself. So accountability is one big part, right? And it's continuous accountability. And people say, oh, I don't need an accountability partner, or I don't need a coach, or I can do this myself. Well, yeah, I mean, sure. Let's look at your last year's results and the results before. If they are where you want them to be, then I would agree with you, but I would say 99.9% of the people are going to go, actually, I'm not where I want to be, right? So how do you get to those? How do you know which steps to take, and how do you get to those results? First of all, you got to, I like to draw the analogy of the dart, of how you throw darts.
Right.
There's an outer circle, there's another circle, and then there's an inner circle, and those circles are not all over the place. It's not one circle is on the left and one circle is on the right and one circle's in the middle. That is all on one board, and that's usually in front of you where you are aiming the darts towards. You're not standing to the dart itself, to the dart, how do you call that, dart board, with your back to the dart board. No, you're standing where you're facing to the dart board, and you're aiming for the middle black circle. But most people go around and they have darts in their hands, and they just maybe they even have like 5 darts in one hand, and they just randomly throw it all over the place because they don't know where they're aiming it to. They don't know which steps to take or which steps to take back in order to aim very focused and precisely in that middle inner black circle to actually get to their success. So yes, if you call them New Year's resolutions, if you call them well-formed outcomes, if you call them desired goals, if you call them dreams, or whatever it is that you call them, I don't care what you call them, but be specific, what you want, what is it that you're aiming for, and then reverse engineer the steps and model what other people have already done, and then do what they did. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If someone made $1 million in your business, go interview them. Ask them what they did. Often, most of the time, I would say they probably built a heck load of relationships in their community, in their business. So it all boils down in sales, in business, in personal life. It boils down to relationships, meaningful relationships. And that means that you got to be out there. So oftentimes it means to be vulnerable, to allow yourself to be open, to enter a conversation with someone. That takes time, that takes vulnerability, that takes clarity. What is it that I want out of this relationship? So those are all steps that one can take. But most people get stuck because they're not clear on what the end goal is. They're not clear on that black circle that they're aiming for. Therefore, they're already missing the first steps at the very beginning of the year. And then it falls apart from there because they're not clear on what they're aiming for.
No, that's a very good analogy, and I like that analogy. And like you started off earlier talking about the begin with the end in mind, that's just like in sales. And I know you've heard me do a training program that I do. People, and you started where people want to make $1 million. Well, you don't begin with the $1 million. You got to begin with the system and the process that got you to the $1 million. And generally, like you said, that is lead generation and building relationships. That is, and then you take it to the next step and the next step to get you to that process. So that leads to our next question is, how do I know that I have quality thoughts and quality actions?
Yeah, that's a great question. How do I know that because we all have thoughts and we all take action, right? But how do I tap in that it's a quality thought or that it's a quality action? Well, a quality thought is becoming aware of what the thought is, and is the thought supportive or non-supportive? If it's not supporting you, if you rather look at the thought of, If the thought is, oh, I shouldn't be doing that, or no, I don't like doing this, those are all non-supportive thoughts because they keep you stuck. A positive or a quality thought would be, okay, so how is this going to drive me forward? What else do I need to do or learn or have or be in order to get to my next step? That's a big one. What else do I need to have or learn or do or be? Because often we don't have to have anything. We just need to be who we truly are within ourselves, and then allow ourselves to be exactly that and be consistent in it, and not try one day this and the next day that. I don't know if, the listeners, probably some of them have dogs or kids. And if you try to potty train either your child or your dog, I don't care, trying to do one thing one day and then trying to do something completely different the next day, and then something completely different the next day after that, you'll never potty train anyone, right? But being consistent in it, and constantly checking in with your mindset, with your state of mind, with your emotions, with the things that you're telling yourself and telling others. Is it supportive? Is it really driving me forward? Or am I living in effect? Am I really looking at what else, looking at any situation, what else do I not know yet? Right? You've probably all seen the no pie. Imagine a circle, and there's a small sliver in that circle. It's like a pie graphic. A small sliver is what you know that you know. That's the knowledge and the capabilities and the skills that you have. And then another small sliver in that pie of a whole is what you know that you don't know yet. Okay, so that's the good news. So those are two slivers in that pie, but they're small. The biggest piece of that pie, and it's about, 90%, I would say, is the things that we don't even know that's out there that are ready and available for us to know. And if we're not going on that journey of growth, of constant and continuous growth, of looking at what else can I learn, either out of the situation that I'm in the moment, what other feedback am I getting from this, or where else can I go and continue to learn from a coach, from a mentor, by modeling someone that has been there and done that, where I want to go and what I want to achieve. That's where you're going from a quality thought into a quality action. So just like in the success pattern that I shared with you earlier, thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, actions lead to results. It starts out, it originates with your thoughts. And then, and only then, will it go into a quality action, or else you're just being a busybody, right? People come to me and they want to work with me, and I ask them, what do you do during the day? Oh, I'm so busy. And then I ask them, are you busy, or are you productive? Big difference, right? So a quality action is productive, being productive, productivity, and an action is just busy work.
A lot of people don't know the difference between the two.
Say that again. Say it again. So
what did I say? The difference between an action and a quality action is busyness versus productivity.
Productivity. And a lot of that comes back to mindset and time management, in my opinion.
I agree. And I like to call it time ownership.
Okay.
I like that better.
I like that. Time ownership.
When you own your time, you don't have to manage it. It's yours. And
right.
Quite frankly, time, you have 24 hours. Sarah, you have 24 hours. Celeste has 24 hours. I have 24 hours. Well, I have 24 hours. How come highly successful people have just the 24 hours that we have and yet get things done? Because they are productive. They're doing the most with their time. They own their time, and they delegate to other people that also have 24 hours. Now they're leveraging their time, and they're doing the things that they need to do to get into their quality actions, right? There are three. If we look at time ownership as a whole, there are three parts within time ownership, or three components of time. There's the business building piece. That's you could see that as a third in that pie.
Right.
Then there's the money making. That could be a third in that pie. And then there's another third in that pie, and that is busy work. That's, or just, time consumption, getting sucked into social media, checking your emails regularly, all of the stuff that if you really look at it closely, you really just need to do that maybe once a day. Mm-hmm. You don't need to constantly check your phone. You don't need to constantly check your emails. You don't need to constantly read up on XYZ unless it's part of your business building. If it's not part of your business building, and if it's not making you money, ditch it. Now you really own your time.
Well, I love that time ownership. That is great, because we own that time, and we are responsible and accountable for the decisions we make with that time. For those of us that use a calendar and schedule our things out, the purpose of having a schedule and a calendar like that is, as you said, the time ownership. If something comes up and you want to change it, that's on you. You can change it. That means you made the decision to either do that project or not do that project, or to move that project over and put something else in that place. That is your ownership. That's not a coach's responsibility. That's not your parents' responsibility or anything like that. That's your responsibility.
And I want to point out what you just said. You used one word, and I hope that everyone picked up on that. That is a decision. That is a cognitive decision. And when we are aware that we make those decisions, we can make more of those supportive decisions in our lives. Because quite frankly, we make decisions all the time, but often we just make them, out of mindlessness. I just decide to do that because it's easier or it's less effort.
Well, I'm going to give you another example on decision. And this is a topic that's come up a lot with some clients just recently through the holidays. We all have that family member or that friend or that client that's just, negative, right? And I refrain for having conversations with certain people at certain times of day or things of that nature, because I can't afford to allow that. That's a decision that I make, that I will only talk to that person on a Saturday or a Sunday or something like that, but not during my time ownership of my work time or my family time, because I'm not going to let it bring me down.
Yeah. That's a huge insight. And I think if everyone would just take that from today's talk and just implement that, Celeste, that's golden.
Well, I appreciate that. Sarah, I know you got some questions. Also, before you ask that question, Sarah, it's about 5:45. We have about 5:43. We got 16 more minutes. And for our listeners and our audience, if you have any questions out there, please put it in the chat. We have a great person, Vivian, monitoring our chat. She's going to give us the questions. So any questions you have for Brigitta, put it in the chat and we'll be glad to do our level best to get it answered for you today. Go ahead, Miss Sarah.
Okay. So, all right, now that I know the difference between quality thoughts and quality actions, what steps do I need to take?
That's a good question.
I can't wait and start writing it down.
Starts with the decision.
Well, you decide, right? People think that you probably seen the graphic where there's one straight line going from left to right, and it says that's what people think success looks like. And then you see another graphic, and there's just it's a squiggly line all over the place. That's really what truly what success is. But for the sake of being clear on what the quality actions are and which steps to take next, you've got to literally create that next step for you. Or the other day, I did a group coaching on Monday. We literally drew a like stair steps, and I had everyone write out, okay, so at the very top of the stairs, you're going to write down what is it that you're climbing towards to. Maybe it may be a dollar amount by December 31st, 2020, or it may be a number of leads by December 31st, 2022, or it may be, whatever it is that you are working towards to, and we put the stake in the ground, and the due date is December 31st, 2022. What are the things that you need to do this week? What are the things that you need to do next week? What are the things that you need to do next month? What are the things that you need to do the month after that? And sometimes those next steps from month to month will then vary as you get closer to it. But the more clarity you have this week, today, and put it in your calendar. I'll give you a really good example. One of my clients said that she needs to build a new website. And this website, the desired outcome for a new website, that thought alone of a new website was just so overwhelming and so big for her that she had no idea where to even start to think about what the first step would be, because it was just so big. And in her big, it just became bigger and bigger and bigger because she didn't know what she didn't know. So we started with, okay, so you want this website to look like this, this, and this. You want the website to evoke this, this, and this. You want it to have this brand emotion, and you want it to have these colors. And she was clear around that. And I said, okay, so is anyone going to help you build that website? And she says, yeah. So I have a web developer that's helping me build the website. Great. Then you're going to do what this week? And she says, well, I'm going to share with the web developer what I want the end product to look like. Awesome. Great. And then go back to the web developer. What else does the web developer need as a next step? Do you need to go to GoDaddy and get a URL? No, that's already done. Okay, great. Check. Right? So becoming clear and really breaking it down. You might have heard the term, don't eat the whole elephant at once, but sometimes the elephant is just so big, it's taking up the entire room. Start nibbling at the elephant in one area and start there. That way, you know which next steps to take, but most people don't even start the nibble. And therefore, they will never get more clarity on where else can I. It doesn't have to be perfect. Perfectionism does not exist. And that's where people either are at a threshold and kind of dancing around at the threshold and never get over the threshold of taking that first step, or because they're just so overwhelmed, they want to have it perfect, and it'll never be perfect. It'll never, ever be perfect. Her website never was perfect. It doesn't matter. She got the website. She's happy with it. She constantly improves upon it. And she came back to me and she says, oh my gosh, I learned so much. And now I know what I want and know what I don't want. If that's the only thing that people can get a good overview on, what is it that they don't want anymore? So they know what is it that they want, and not get stuck as what I don't want, but really looking at what's on the flip side. What is it that I do want? So you can take those next steps. Now, Celeste said it earlier, and I want to remind everyone, we all have phones. Come on, let's be honest. We all have one of these. It may be Android or iPhone. I don't care. And those things come with a calendar. Write down, what is it that you're going to do today, tomorrow, the day after, next week, next month. Write down the steps that you're now aware of, that you want to take, that you must take in order to get to your result. And when you constantly get into a habit of putting in exactly what is it that you need to do, like at 5 o'clock today, I had a calendar entry that said that I'm coming on the show with Celeste and Sara. I had the Zoom link in there. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to search for it. I knew it popped up as a reminder on my calendar that I'm going to be here today. And that's how I treat all of my action steps every day. There is not one thing that I leave to fate of what I need to do in the day, because it's already spelled out in my calendar, and I own my time. And I want to encourage you to do the same. That way, you know which steps to take.
And that's such great advice, Brigitta. And I give that to all my clients as well. Is I tell them to take that calendar, whether it's digital, whether it's old fashioned, print one out. I mean, I use both. I have a desk calendar right here in front of me. I have my digital calendar right here and on my desktop. And I also have a printed out calendar. And I say at the beginning of the month, before the month gets started, for those of you, your first priorities are your spiritual priorities. Go ahead and take that 31 days. There's 31 days in January, and put all your spiritual functions down in that calendar, whether it's a Bible study, it's Sunday school, it's church, whatever it is. The next important thing that you're going to put in that calendar is going to be your family time. Whether it's once a week, you have a date night with your spouse, whether it's taking kids to soccer games or gymnastics, whatever it is. If it's a family game night, you fill that calendar up with all that family stuff, or you're going to go on an outing with a friend or something. And then now start to put your third thing, your business. Start putting your business stuff in there and plug it in. And then that goes back to where that decision comes from, Brigitta, is that this is your calendar for the month. If something comes up with my family time, I have a decision to make. Is this opportunity that's coming up, is it more important than me having a date night and my husband cooking me dinner? Probably not. There isn't nothing going to get in the way of me having my husband cook for me and dinner. And you know what? It makes life so easy. And I don't understand why some people find that so difficult to do.
It's a pattern. And we can program ourselves to have that pattern within us. And I want to add to that, because earlier we asked about, which goal, how do you set goals and which goals to set? So I like to look at two different types of goal settings. Well, one is the written out goals, right? Even the I want to make, or I am making X amount of dollars by X date. So that's the written out goals. But then, and Sara, I know you can appreciate that, then there are the number goals, AKA the forecast. And that's where most business people get so lost and overwhelmed, because they're like, I don't know if I'm going to make that. I don't know if that's right to say that this is going to be the number for February or March or April and so on and so forth. And I said, well, the action steps that you have written out are just as made up at this point until you actually make them. But if you don't know which action steps to take, you're never going to get to these numbers that you forecasted. That's right. But what I can assure you, because that's another success pattern, what I can assure you is when you have clarity which steps to take, and you're clear which goal, which number goal you're going to meet every week and every month by taking these action steps, now it becomes something so tangible and so real and so urgent. I set out that I'm going to make X amount of this money by the end of this week and the end of this month. And if I'm not getting to those results, I got to check in with what I'm telling myself and which action steps I am taking, and maybe take more of those action steps. And often enough, it's building those relationships and creating those leads.
Absolutely. So we have about 7 minutes. Sara, do you have one last question for Brigitta? Because I want to make sure Brigitta can tell our audience how they can reach out to her, as well as I believe Brigitta has a gift that she needs to put in our chat. So Vivian can offer that to our audience as well, or you can offer it verbally. So go ahead, Miss Sara.
Okay. What do you mean when you say your communication is the response you get?
So if you are sending out a message, I am sending out a message right now. And if I am not getting the response back from Sara or from Celeste or anyone else that I'm talking to, or I'm not getting the desired response back, I might want to build a relationship, but that person is nowhere ready to build rapport with me. That is an immediate feedback that if I want to pursue building rapport and building a relationship with that person, to adjust my communication. That's what that means. This is so key, and most people do not understand the very simple concept behind this. That means you, the sender, are in charge of how it's going to land with the person that you're talking to, with the receiver. And if it's not landing if your message is not landing with the receiver of the message, that means that you got to adapt your communication so it actually lands with the person that you're trying to build a relationship. That is first and foremost the most important thing, and being able to take inventory and become aware of what are the things that we're saying out loud. Because when we tell them ourselves, there's also some truth in what we're saying out loud. So what people are saying also has an immediate feedback on how their mindset is working or in which state of mind they are in. I'm going like super duper deep. I talk about this for 5 days. We just finished a course. So we talk about this for 5 days. I could unpack this for hours and days and months and years. But that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Your communication is the response that you get. Remember that when you're not getting what you want, it has nothing to do with the other person. It has something to do that you said or how you said it. Or with which body language did you say it? Oh, it's nice to meet you. That's not how you're going to build rapport. And you laugh, right? But we've all met these people. We've all met these people.
Are you rolling your eyes?
Exactly. We've all been there and done that. And I want to invite everyone that's in the Atlanta area, if I may, Celeste.
Yes.
As we're talking and building rapport and building these relationships with people, that we can perhaps even model their success, because that's what life is. It's all about, we don't have to figure things out by ourselves. I'm here, Celeste, Sara, they're all here to help us, right? So we come together as a community called the Spire Community, to network with each other and to learn from another and to hold each other to higher standards and to really, lift each other up. Think there's not enough networks out there that actually and really and authentically do that. And the Spire Nation does that. And we come together as a nation, as a group of individuals, high professional individuals, in person, and we network amongst each other, and not just network amongst each other, but also, when I know Celeste, I also know Celeste's network. When Celeste knows me, she knows my network. So my network's open, and that's what we're about, right? When I know, oh, Celeste, let me introduce you to XYZ, and I know that you're going to hit it off, right? And I've done that many times before.
Many times.
And Celeste has done the same. So I want to invite you to come and join us on January the 20th. That's a Thursday, January 20th, at the American Cut Rooftop Bar. That's the American Cut Steakhouse. And it's all the way, so I think it's on the 3rd or on the 4th floor, yes. American Cut Steakhouse in Buckhead, on January 20th at 5:30. January 20th at 5:30 at the American Cut Steakhouse in Buckhead, all the way at the very top. And then I also want to gift you guys the Success Loss Checklist. We talked a lot about success loss today, and I covered a ton of success loss. And I want to give you the full success loss checklist at no cost, totally free for you to apply it. Ask more questions around it. I am more than happy to answer any questions. I put the link to the Success Loss Checklist here in the chat box. Go grab it and get your Success Loss Checklist for absolutely free. And know that it's invaluable. Have those, print them out, have them at your desk, look at them, apply them in your life. And be reminded of today, because I talked a lot about these success laws today.
Absolutely, Brigitta. And we can't thank you enough for a mountain of gold of information that you gave today to our listeners and audience. Sara, it was so great to see you here today. And also want to thank WCEG Network for hosting us, and I think this is their 7th year, and we are so proud and honored to serve their community, to serve our community, and we just love you so much, and we appreciate you, and we want to wish everybody a very healthy and happy and prosperous 2022. Thank you so much, and get to that Spire Network on the 20th. We'll see you there. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Love you.
Thanks, ladies.